Hi there, I'm Eileen Dowse, past chair and current director of assessment for INIFAC. And I'm joined today with Diana Gurwicz, who is not only the current chair of the International Institute for Facilitation, she's also a certified master facilitator and a coach. Hi, Diana. You know what? We both have a lot of letters after our name. And today I'd like to talk about the why. And some of those letters came from schools that we've attended. Some of those letters, came from the certifications that we have. But I really want to talk about the why. Is there any benefit to them? Does it improve the optics of it? Or is everybody doing it? So let's hop on board. So that's my first question to you. Why? Why get certified?
Well, I think some of the letters are really sort of an entry point, right? I think some of the letters that we get when we're younger because we want to prove that we have some knowledge that we need to demonstrate because that's the time to get it, right? And our parents would say, listen, I'm paying for it, so get the letters, right? That goes for the MBA, that goes for the JD, that goes for the PhD. Yeah. I think that those things, and those you can't, I think that those are things you want to get when you're younger. So I do not that I doubt that people should get them, certainly the PhD and the.
I was going to say, I really wish my parents would have paid for my PhD.
Yeah, well, my family did all the way through the PhD for some of the people who wanted them. Not for me. I had the MBA. I was happy with that. But I think when you're looking out at the world around you and you enter the world of work, then I think you got to look around and say, how am I differentiating myself, right? Yeah. What am I doing that that actually comports with my ideas about my values, right? Where I know that I'm a little different than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I can show that has value. Mm-hmm. That has value to you, my employer. That has value to the people I work with. And that has value to me. So then we're talking some certifications. And maybe you're doing certifications through INIFAC, or maybe you're doing certifications through other places. But I think it becomes sort of a search and destroy mission, right? You're trying to find places that have certifications that you are interested in.
Right.
And in the process, you're also finding people that share your values too. So welcome to INIFAC.
Yeah, there we go. Definitely welcome to INIFAC.
Share the value of facilitation.
And that I want to just highlight the point that you made, value to others and value to me. I think we forget about the me part. Mm-hmm. And I say we, I mean, when you start getting certified, it's like, why? Like, why? We always talk about what's in it for me, but often we don't think about that. And I really think that's an important point. And I want to go down that path once we start talking about INIFAC's certification and how the candidates themselves benefit. But let's first talk about the what's in it for others. So because you and I are both aware of INIFAC certification, let's talk about for INIFAC, what are the things we are looking for?
You mean as members who have obtained our CMFs?
No, as assessors.
As assessors,
right? What are we looking for to ensure that we can put a stamp of approval on this candidate?
That is a great question. Because I think if you're looking for a group that you want to be a part of, you should know what we think we want to see out there in the workplace. And so if you're looking to be a CMF or a CSF or a CCF, then we're looking for people who have executive presence, right? We're looking for people who can communicate well. Mm. We're looking for people who engage with the people they're talking to, not just stand up there and dictate, right? So you achieve a level of accomplishment within your company, a title, if you will, and then just be able to dictate what you want, but someone who engages with the groups around them, right? Forces them to think maybe a little differently. At McKinsey, we used to call it standing on your ear a little bit, getting outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Oof.
If you're talking about the CMLF, which is our Certified Master Learning Facilitator, can you design a program that actually teaches, right? Lo and behold, are you ethical? Are you engaging with professional standards and ethics, right? That goes for all of our certifications. If you're looking for this virtual facilitation, are you again engaging, right? Are you able to use your tools well to bolster what you're trying to communicate?
Yeah.
So I think what we're trying to do is show that you are competent, and not just competent, but supremely competent in what you're trying to do. So this is a value to you and a value to the people you work with and for.
Right. Thank you. You know, are you competent? In our world, and certainly in the HR world, we call that you have the competencies. And just before we started recording, you and I got into a really, cool is the best word for me. Cool discussion about, you know what, competencies, meh, as they say. How about talking about capabilities? And I think perhaps a lot of people may resonate with that term.
Yeah.
What do you think? Capabilities or competencies are the same things? What?
So I think it's who you're talking to. I think if you're talking to HR and they're trying to outline an org chart, they're going to talk about competencies. If they're talking about job descriptions, right? If they're talking about recruiting, they're going to look at competencies, probably promotions. They're looking at competencies. But I think when you're talking about people and how they interact with others, when they're talking about building a team, and when they're talking about accomplishing things, they're looking at capabilities.
Yeah.
And I think as you advance in your career, you want to know that you're capable, and I would even argue supremely capable of doing things that others maybe can't do. And what I marvel at with facilitation in particular is that you know when you're in the room with somebody who does this well, because you look at them and say, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because facilitation doesn't happen alone.
Yeah.
To do facilitation, you have to be in a room with others.
Mm-hmm.
So others can see you do it. And when it's done well,
yeah,
right, you look at that person, you look at what's happening, and you look around the room and you see people engaging, discussing, moving the ball forward and getting to results. And you're saying to yourself, I would love to be able to do that. Yeah. And so that's when you want to be a facilitator.
And hey, I will say I've tried to facilitate myself and it wasn't a pretty picture. So definitely better to have more people in the room. Not good. Not good. And so here's one of the things that I like about how INIFAC goes about finding out if you have those capabilities, have those competencies, is we have a set of things, requirements that we ask of folks, and I'll ask you about those to expand on those. And what I will say is every time, and that's not an exaggeration, every candidate has said, oh, wow, the feedback that I got, the insights that I got, and this goes back to value to others. Sure, you get the credential, but the value to me was getting that insight. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, what are some of the requirements? Because they're different with our different certifications.
Yep.
In general, what are some of our requirements?
Well, we are blessed by having a crack set of assessors across all of our certifications. Wouldn't you agree, Eileen?
Well, yeah. Since you and I are both assessors, I'm part of that pool, I definitely would agree. And we're across the world too, right? So we pull in different perspectives, and we've had discussions and disagreements with the assessors saying, no, you would never facilitate like that in the States. No, you'd never facilitate like that in Asia. And that's important to note, because we want a credential that can work globally. And that's not always easy. And I do believe we have it.
And we learn from the assessments we do.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes I will say that we are a learning group. So
Yeah.
we find that we modify the things we do with the times. So we have modified some of the things we do in terms of we have an application. You need to have references, right? We want to know that the people you work with find what you do exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. And then we want to have a written assessment where you're answering questions, but we have modified what we look for in some of those written assessments over the years.
Yeah.
We also ask that you provide either a video. Sometimes we've modified it to include an interview for some of our certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And that video is us observing how people react to you in a real, it's a scenario, but it's as real as it gets. And we've modified those to be more real as time goes on. And I think
I
as
wanna
we're,
go ahead.
yep, I know you're going to ask me about it because we've seen a lot of videos. And what I think is really powerful is that we don't have one person assess you. We have at least two, if
Yeah.
not three, and those people can hash it out, right? And they
Absolutely.
do,
Absolutely.
right?
What I was going to say is I've had candidates come to me after and say, do you know what? I was in a meeting and things were going sideways. And all I could think about was, you've got to be kidding me. This is nothing compared to the video I had to do for INIFAC. And I learned so much from doing that video that
Right.
nothing can faze me now. So it's
Yes.
that feedback that you get on those
Well, what's
moments.
interesting is that, right, because we're looking for the nuance, right? And I think when you can, because facilitation is fundamentally deconstructing a meeting into how people react to everything you're doing.
Right.
So, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a better meeting. We're looking for a better outcome.
Yeah.
So the things that you're doing, the way that they impact the people around you, I mean, wouldn't it be great if everybody did that? We just don't do enough of that.
Right.
So I think it's a great way. The feedback that I think that people get, whether they pass or sometimes have to do it twice to get past,
Right.
I think they evolve.
Oh, yeah.
And most people would say that it's probably some of the best certification feedback that they've ever had.
I agree.
And we take our time to do it right.
Yeah, I agree. So we've got the application, the references, there's a written component and a video.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that and let's go wider now about general certifications. So from the standpoint of certifications, getting certified, I know you talked about value to me, value to others. What do you imagine, what do you view as some of the benefits for anyone to get certified, whether it be a project management certification or a coaching certification? What are some of the benefits?
Well, as I said, I think for one thing you're looking for, I think is the immediate advancement opportunity, right? Some certifications, they hold themselves out as something that you need to get so you can advance. And there are organizations that we work with, very close partnerships, that they want their people certified through us to advance. There's a number of those. I think that, sometimes you're just looking for a competitive edge. You want to be the only person who's certified because it does give you a competitive edge.
Right.
Right. In the marketplace, maybe you're a lone wolf out there and you want to look different than everyone else. That's true too. There's no doubt that you're going to have enhanced skills, right? These are capabilities you're building and they're special. I think in a lot of markets, what people don't realize is we're global. Facilitation is a global skill, and being able to do facilitation cuts across global boundaries. And I think, so those are definitely some of them.
I agree.
And I think something that people don't often realize is that when you do go for professional certifications, because you have to find groups that offer certifications, you end up finding a whole new group of friends, right? Who are also certified.
So true. Yep.
So people call it networking, but in addition, you can create some tremendous relationships and opportunities to expand your professional network. And I know many people who have increased their career potential through their certification networks. So that is absolutely out there. And, I've done a lot of work with people that I've met since becoming a CMF through the INIFAC and the other networks that we've belong to because we're part of INIFAC. So,
Right.
because that's just a starting point.
Yeah.
There's many other networks that belong and they all touch each other. So we're a very incestuous group.
Well, and I do like that idea about the networking component because in the world of facilitation, you've got to know your stuff, there's theory involved, and there's a lot of creativity involved. Like, how often have you called a colleague, facilitation colleague, and said, do you have an icebreaker? Or I'm working with this group and I just don't know. And just swapping that information or having it played back to you, I have found that incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. I've called many people and they've called me for questions, but I've called people, have asked them for advice, and I've called people because I've been brought into a client where I don't have the bandwidth. I've actually called people to actually help me facilitate where the breakout rooms have been, there've been 20 breakouts. I'm one person. I need 19 other facilitators.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So right. So those opportunities exist, and they exist once you're certified, you find other people who can help you with those things. So
Yeah.
that's nothing to mock. That's absolutely essential as part of our facilitation.
And for me, and this is definitely, I'll be open and transparent. This is a plug for INIFAC. I do believe that once you are certified with INIFAC, there's a standard that you had to achieve to become certified. And I say that because I've seen people certifying or people facilitating, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Oh, you would never get certified with us. And that same person, I've had conversations, they've gone through INIFAC's assessment, they didn't make it, they went through again, and at the end they said, I understand now. Like, it has now become part of me to recognize this is the standard. And again, that's a blatant plug for INIFAC, and I would hope that if you do any certification, check that out. Like, what are the standards, right?
That's actually one place you could have gone with that, but I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that, Eileen, because one of the things we created in INIFAC is terrors for other people's meetings. Because if you're not someone who has, once you go through INIFAC and you get certified, you can't tolerate meetings that are run poorly. So you become that person in the room who's like, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this. Wait a minute, I've got a better idea. Wait a minute. So unfortunately,
That's very
right,
true.
for everyone else, it's good that you're there, but you become that person who's like, we can do this a little better. We can be a little bit more judicious about how we spend our time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what, Diana? Maybe you and I could start a support group. And that support group is Chair of INIFAC support group. Anyone who has led a group of facilitators in a board meeting it's an interesting challenge. It's like doctoring doctors, facilitating facilitators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always a challenge.
They're great. I mean, they're great in a room. Everyone's goal is to make everybody feel comfortable in the room. But oh, heavens. It's an interesting challenge facilitating facilitators.
I would agree. Yeah. But always, but it's always a pleasure. I mean, we have a wonderful board, so.
We do. We really
And they
do.
dedicate their time, so can't say anything in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, absolutely. And we all know and we all get it. And anyways, it's a fun group. What suggestions do you have for anyone wanting to get certified in an organization? Now, I'm not talking about only certified with INIFAC. I'm just talking about that generic. Let's say someone's looking at this and saying, you know what, maybe certification, maybe getting the value to me, the value to others is important. What kinds of things should they be looking for?
Well, I think it matters who you're getting certified with, right? I think there's lots of, when you're talking about, there are lots of groups who will create a certification just because they want to take your money, right? So, and there's no shortage of those. So, and they will give you a pretty medallion to put on LinkedIn, but it doesn't really mean anything. So
Right.
you need to find something that actually means something. And you need to look at the people who have that certification and say, is that what I want to be doing? Is that what I want to look like?
Right.
So I would take a look and say, have I found a group that is reputable?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And is that certification something I care about? Because being certified in things that I don't really care about is going to come through because you're not really going to practice those skills, right? You're getting certified, and again, we call it competencies, I call it capabilities, but those capabilities must be things that you're willing to practice every day. I facilitate at home. It's because I care so much about facilitation, and I think it just transcends my entire day.
I'm still getting complaints from my children who are now much older saying they were so annoyed that we used to have a family meeting every Sunday night and the agenda was on the fridge. You put on the agenda what you want to talk about because I'm not talking about during the week. It's too crazy. So it is in your blood. And if you care about it and it's part of you, it's in your DNA.
And I don't think you have to guess. I think facilitators really don't guess. It's not one of our traits that we do. We like to know in advance. So I would talk to your employers. I would talk to your clients and say, would this matter to you? Right? Mm-hmm. Find out if those certifications are things that they would value, right? And make sure that that's something that it would be of value to them. And then I would say, do other people in my industry have this certification? And then that could go either way, right? In some ways, you might say, I could be the first, right? Mm-hmm. People don't know that this certification exists, and I could really be blazing a trail, which is something in some ways that I did because I do some things that some other people don't do. And I was kind of first doing what I do. And then, or you could be somebody who's like, I want to get this because other people who do what I do already have this certification. And this would be something that would set me apart from others.
Fantastic.
So,
thank you.
Those are my thoughts.
I love your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope anyone listening has really gotten some great insight on this as we threw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, and perhaps some of those thoughts stuck for you. Thank you so much, Diana. Not only do I appreciate you as chair of INIFAC and certainly as a colleague and a friend, but I thank you for spending this time with me today.
My pleasure. It was fun.